Hi, I'm Fox 26 meteorologist Chris Kuiper, and the fog continued into the month here. It's been a very foggy start to our month of Foguary. Looks like we may be turning a bit of a corner and getting out of that real foggy pattern that we've had here for the past month or so. Still is some fog in the forecast, but not nearly as much as we have seen recently. Notice Sunday morning, might see a little bit of fog there, and might see it again there Friday morning, Friday the 13th, appropriately for a little bit of fog. And we may see just a touch Saturday morning as well, but not that all day long fog, and not that just endless days and days and days of fog, which we had there pretty much through the entire month of January or so. You know what? Let's take a look at Futurecast here and break down Saturday. Saturday, 7 in the morning. Okay, some fog. This might be a little bit overdone, but there will be some fog in the valley. Early Saturday, it doesn't last very long. Sunday morning might be a little more widespread. We'll see a little bit further to the north here. This is about 7 o'clock in the morning. Notice by 9 and 10 o'clock, it's gone. Yeah, it doesn't last too long these days. It has a difficult time sticking around past noon or even past 10 o'clock or so. And so, yeah, there will be some fog out there, but not nearly as much as we have seen. And we have seen a lot so far this winter. 36 days of dense fog here in Fresno at Fresno Yosemite International Airport. And dense fog is defined as when the visibility gets down to a quarter of a mile or less. And we've had plenty of days of less as well. 36 days. That's a lot for us here. That's like the old days, if you will. Break it down here season by season here over the past few years. 36 days of dense fog. That's the most we've had in 23 years here at Fresno Fresno Yosemite International Airport. You have to go all the way back to 2002, 2003, where that 40 number is there, before we get more than the 36 that we had out there this year. The 16 dense fog days that we had just last month in January. That's also the most we've had since back in 2002, 2003. So boy, it has been awfully foggy out there recently. Basically, if you're 20 years old or 21 years old, you've never seen this much fog in Fresno in one season before. Now, if your parents or grandparents or whatnot tell you, this is nothing, this is the way it used to be all the time. You used to have to walk uphill in school both ways, and then it's foggy all day long. I don't know about the uphills at school in both ways, but the foggy part, they might be dead right at that, because take a look at what's happened here over the past few decades or so. Past 30 years, we've only averaged about 24 days of dense fog per year. That number probably going to go up once we finish off this season here, but for the time being, past 30 years, just 24 days of dense fog per year. Back between 1993 and 1964-65, the 30 years prior, we used to average 40 days of dense fog every year. So this was nothing new for the folks back in those days, but recently the fog has really thinned on out a whole bunch, except for this year, where it's really come on back. Okay, let's break down the fog that we're dealing with here and talk a little bit more about what forms it and whatnot. This Thule fog is a type of radiation fog, not kind of nuclear or anything like that. It's just the solar radiation that we're talking about, or long-wave energy radiation. And it forms with two things going on: wet ground or wet moisture. The rain that we had so much of back in October and November and even December, soaked the ground and created puddles on the ground as well. So there was ample moisture lying around to tap into. And you need these long, clear winter nights. One thing is going to be diminishing here rather soon, and that's really going to make it difficult for the fog to keep going here for us. And it's not the clear nights, it's the long nights there, because we're into February now, and the days are getting longer, the nights are getting shorter, and as those nights get shorter, there's less and less time every night to form that fog out there as the temperature cools down at night to get down to the dew point, and then we start to see some of those the fog forming out there. We'll still see some fog here off and on through the month of February, but not nearly as much as the days continue to get longer and the nights continue to get shorter. Another thing that really helps us out to get the fog out there is when we have high pressure overhead. And that creates a lot of times an inversion. And once that sets up, boy, it's just all stable. And that's when you get those days and days and weeks of fog settling on in. And what causes an inversion? The high pressure system. And what really settles all that in place is we're a little bit cursed, if you will, by our geography. Blessed and cursed. It's beautiful to have the mountains nearby, especially the beautiful Sierra Nevada, but they're a big brick wall. They kind of surround us. We're kind of trapped on three sides by mountains. And so that creates a very stable situation here. Then we get high pressure sitting there pushing all this air down to the surface and just keeping everything capped down here. No ventilation, no way to air things out and ventilate and bring some drier air on in, and everything just stagnates. Our air quality really goes down the dumper there, unfortunately. And that's the situation when we get those really foggy patterns there setting up for us, like we had in the month of January. And then we don't get any rain. And January is our wettest month of the year. We went into the month of January double our average rainfall for the season because we had so much rain there in October, in November, and in December. we got hardly anything in the month of January, especially after January 4th. We didn't get anything. And so now we're sitting at just 122% of normal, which is still very good. Always good to be on the positive side of things. But the normal numbers continue to catch up to the season total here for us. We'd like to add more to that season total before we go to the dry season. We may finally be doing that, and that's one of the things that's going to be breaking apart the fog. We're going to be mixing the atmosphere up, breaking that inversion apart, and that's going to prevent the fog from forming. And also rain, finally, in the forecast. Not a whopper of a storm system, but finally at least some wet weather in a forecast here by next Tuesday. So we can we start to find those umbrellas, which may be in the back of the closet there for a little while. We may need them, not really over the weekend, but as we get into next week, next Tuesday, and then the following weekend, Valentine's weekend, don't forget there, fellas, Sunday after Valentine's Day, more wet weather, and maybe some wet weather on President's Day as well.